Hey everyone, Smart Silver Stacker here. With all the excitement around silver generated by the silver squeeze movement, and with all the new stackers out there, I wanted to talk about what the actual probability is of a silver squeeze in 2021. Because the truth is, we may need to wait a little longer than that. Now, I don't mean that I don't think one is coming. I just think that it may take a little longer than 11 months to come to fruition. If you're a stacker, though, don't let that discourage you. I, for one, would actually prefer a silver squeeze happen a year from now rather than tomorrow. Another year of stacking at today's prices would, in my opinion, be a huge blessing. I think we should all be thrilled that silver's price hasn't gone up more than it has. I mean, personally, I miss stacking silver at under $20 an ounce. And we were doing that not too long ago. And as you know, none of this is financial advice. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. But I'm still stacking today, and I think that there will be a point in the relatively near future where we all miss stacking at today's low prices. Why do I say a silver squeeze may not happen in 2021? Well, look, I don't have a crystal ball, but market timing is a tough business. Markets don't always behave rationally, and they may behave irrationally for prolonged periods of time. But when markets are irrational, that can mean opportunity. The US is $27 trillion in debt, and we are on the verge of a massive experiment in money creation, the likes of which we have never seen before. And yet, silver spot price is under $30 an ounce. Is that rational? It doesn't seem rational to me, but it does seem like an opportunity. The nice thing about stacking silver, though, is that you can afford to be patient. If you're a trader and you're buying paper silver using leverage like margin, or maybe you're using options and you have to worry about time decay, then yeah, it's very important that you time the market correctly. But if you're stacking physical and you're paying attention to the fundamentals, the game plan is pretty straightforward. For me, it's basically stack silver until you can't get it anymore. Because I really think that there's going to be a revaluing of silver in the relatively near future. Now, even if some event like that doesn't happen, will there still be a steady trickle of inflation? Almost certainly. So silver will at least preserve some of my wealth from that. And let's talk worst case scenario. If you're a stacker and the stock market crashes tomorrow and it drags the price of all assets down, including silver, do you have fewer ounces of metal in your possession? Sure, if you want to convert your metal back into fiat currency right at that moment, then you won't get as much, that's true. But if you start thinking about wealth in terms of ounces, basically honest money, instead of fiat, which is just paper currency, events like a stock market crash that drags the paper price of silver down with it will begin to look like an opportunity rather than a calamity. For me, if the market crashed tomorrow and paper silver fell 50%, I would be thrilled. And this could actually happen. But I would be thrilled because I do have a little dry powder, and being able to get more physical at a discount like that would be fantastic. Because, you see, even if the market crashes, there's two things that make me unconcerned about holding bullion. The first is that nothing will have fundamentally changed in the economy. Silver would just be even more undervalued than it is now, and would still be a screaming opportunity. Think about it. A market crash is not going to fix our systemic debt issue. It's not going to get spending under control. It's not going to stop the shift towards clean energy that demands lots of silver. The only thing it might do is bring asset valuations in the stock market and real estate down to a more realistic level, and not these super high bubble prices that we have now. But that's the other thing. Even if asset prices do correct in a meaningful way, which they are a little overdue for, there's no way the Fed and the new administration in Washington are going to allow them to stay down for any length of time. I'm convinced that at this point, they will do literally whatever it takes in terms of stimulus and spending and money creation to keep the current system going as long as possible. And this will be very bullish for precious metals going forward. I mean, really, what do you think the odds are that if the market crashes, suddenly everyone in Washington is going to take a laissez-faire fiscal restraint sort of attitude? I don't like to use the word never, but I think it's fair to say that this would be an extremely low probability event. It's honestly, and I'm not even exaggerating, probably more likely that extraterrestrials will reveal themselves. And I'm not saying that aliens are showing up anytime soon, just that, well, neither is a hands-off economic approach from our current leadership. And if you heard any of what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell had to say recently regarding unemployment, interest rates, and inflation, then you might agree. And real quick guys, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps spread the information and I really appreciate it. Here's an article from CNBC titled, "Fed Chair Powell Says Rates Will Stay Low for a While, Citing Bleak Jobs Picture." And I'm going to read you a bit of this article. Despite the surprising speed of recovery early on, we are still very far from a strong labor market whose benefits are broadly shared, Powell said. To address the disparities, the Fed 6 months ago adjusted its approach to full employment to make it a broad and inclusive goal, and said it will not start raising interest rates until that objective is met. Central to the approach is a willingness to allow inflation to run a bit hotter than the Fed's standard 2% goal for price stability. Powell noted that in the latter years of the record expansion that ended a year ago, wage and employment gains began to be distributed more evenly while the unemployment rate fell, without the threat of high inflation. When the jobless rate fell in the past, the Fed would hike rates as a way to head off inflation, but will not do so now. The Fed is keeping its benchmark short-term borrowing rate anchored near zero, and is buying at least $120 billion of bonds each month. While he said he is confident that the Fed's new approach will lead to better outcomes, he said monetary policy alone can't do everything. Quote, "Given the number of people who have lost their jobs and the likelihood that some will struggle to find work in the post-pandemic economy, achieving and sustaining maximum employment will require more than supportive monetary policy. It will require a society-wide commitment, with contributions from across government and the private sector," unquote, Powell said. Powell added that mass vaccinations will help, as well as fiscal programs such as the Paycheck Protection Program, which provides loans to businesses that retain workers. So, basically, he couldn't possibly have been more dovish in this talk. And while he justified the Fed's decision to ignore inflation and keep rates near zero by citing persistent unemployment, I suspect the decision may have more to do with the fact that if interest rates were to rise, all of the enormous debt loads in our economy would become unsustainable. $27 trillion of debt is a lot of money to pay interest on, and if rates were to rise, this whole economic house of cards could come crashing down. One thing I do think Jerome Powell got absolutely right is the fact that vaccinations are going to help the economy to reopen, and when that happens and the velocity of money begins to accelerate again, I think we are going to finally feel the real inflationary effects of all the money that has been created over the past year, and of all the stimulus and money that is about to be created. And when that happens, expect metals to go higher. So, will there be shortages and supply squeezes of silver in 2021? Again, no crystal ball, but I think if not 2021, then sometime soon. I, for one, am thankful for the opportunity to continue to be able to trade fiat currency for hard money, and I hope we are all able to do so for some time to come. If you liked this video, and you'd like to see some great 2021 silver bullion coins that I just got from SD Bullion, then check out this unboxing video here. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.